What are we doing today?
Well, today we are having the inaugural Calling It in the Ring episode. Calling It in the Ring with Damian Harmony and Johnny Taylor, two comedians who love wrestling, who basically get to watch a match together and talk about the wrestling that they watch.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Is that can I swear on here?
God, I hope so. I hope that you clicked the little button that said not for kids, too.
I hope I did, or we're fucked. Yeah, this is not for kids. But it is fun. It's Damien and I have been friends for a while, and it's both comedians here in Northern California, and we bonded the most over our love of wrestling.
hmm
When I was on the road for 6 months last year, I spent many nights on Damien's couch and in the guest bedroom, and a lot of times I would come home kind of drunk and we would watch wrestling until I fell asleep, which sometimes lasted 3 hours, sometimes lasted 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, but so what we're doing is kind of an interesting concept. We are instead of covering like a whole pay per view, we're just going to do a watch along to some of the best matches, some of the worst matches, some of the weirdest matches in history.
Yes.
Um, so I do have to say before we get started watching it, I just watched the Broken Skull sessions on the network with Ric Flair,
Oh,
and it's that's an hour and 40 minutes. It flies by. I strongly recommend anybody that's into that era of wrestling or any era of wrestling to check it out. It's fucking awesome.
that's rad, dude. The last one I saw was with, I think, with Big Show, and then the Bret Hart one before that.
Yeah,
And I love that. That was
yeah,
amazing.
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Ric Flair is fucking what a character.
Every time Austin has interviewed him, it's clearly a fanboy interviewing like his idol, and
That
at the
definitely
same
comes
time,
through.
like his idol has mad respect for him.
Yeah, that definitely comes through.
That's
So,
rad. That's rad. I just finished watching Spring Stampede, and that was hot garbage.
what year?
99? Yeah,
Okay,
99. So, um,
that was when the NWO angles start cooling down a
oh
little
boy,
bit.
yeah. Then they changed colors on it basically, and now half of them were good guys and half of them were bad guys, and it didn't work. The undercard was actually kind of strong, but it's also when Scott Steiner was getting his push, and he wasn't good. Like it was not a good push. It was not a good story, and
Right.
he
Talk
wasn't very
about
good in character.
a weird thing with WCW then, where they were like, okay, nothing's working, so let's just make a heel faction in WO and a babyface faction in WO,
Right.
and let's see if that like they threw that against the wall.
It felt honestly like a proto version of the invasion angle because the NWO Black and White was all the B-listers at
Right.
best.
Yeah, who was the main dude for that NWO?
Stevie
Like
Ray ended up being the leader, but
Stevie Ray?
yeah, it was him. It was Horace Hogan. It was, I think your cat just turned off your audio. We just lost your audio, Johnny. Oh, you're back.
Okay, technical difficulties. Um, so what are we watching tonight?
So tonight, I figured we'd start with a good match.
Okay, that's good.
We're going to actually real quick before we do that though. Do you remember the first match you ever watched?
Yeah, let me think. So I actually do, and it was mid '80s, and it was Terry Funk was beating a jobber, and he was WWF,
Uh huh.
probably maybe '82 or '83,
Okay.
maybe '84. He was like red. They were pushing him to the moon as a heel to go against Hogan,
Right.
and I think they might have even had Hogan and Funk have a blow off to their rivalry at a Saturday night's main event. But that was the first thing. And I remember Terry Funk after he beat the guy, Terry Funk would take a branding iron
Yes.
and brand the dude. I mean work obviously,
Yeah.
but it was I remember it blowing my fucking mind
Oh, that's
and being
cool.
like, who is that guy? So Terry Funk was actually the first guy
Wow.
that's ever like rang the bell. I think I might have seen a little bit of wrestling
hmm
just but never like sat down and was like, "What the fuck is this?" And
Right.
so that Terry Funk match was it. And then I remember Saturday Night's main event coming on and watching that and seeing like Nikolai Volkov and Iron Sheik when they were a tag team,
Right.
and George Animal Steel and just all these wild characters. And so it blew my fucking mind. And I was pretty much kind of hooked
Hmm.
since then. So I mean, this is 30 plus years
Oh yeah.
of me being a fan of pro wrestling. So
Yeah, for me, actually, real quick, everybody can see my washing machine. So, production value here is kind of like AWA at the last part. So I'm gonna close that real quick.
I mean, we're all here under quarantine lockdown. So that's where Damien keeps the dead bodies.
Just so it's less distracting. All right. So
Yeah.
my first match was actually AWA, and it was Big Scott Hall and Kurt Hennig taking on a couple
Okay.
jobbers.
When Scott Hall still had the big Tom Selleck mustache.
Yes, yeah, and
Yeah,
he was
and
and
curly
he was
hair.
booked
No.
as Big Scott Hall. Yeah, he had the big mouse hair, and everything like that. And then the second match I remember seeing, it was, I think it was either a couple weeks later, and it was in San Francisco. And our Bay Area fans will know KOFY TV 20. They would air
Okay.
AWA, and it was Playboy Buddy Rose and Pretty Boy Doug Summers. Uh,
Yep, I remember. I remember. So we started around the same time
yeah.
because, yeah, I think Martel might have been in that territory
Hmm.
at the same time. Wild Bill Urban.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was. Yeah, I watched AWA back then too.
Boris Zukov,
Yeah.
big guy. Yeah, giant-headed Boris Zukov.
What
Um,
about Buck Rock and Roll Zoomhoff? He was, I think, in that territory too.
don't remember him, but it
Period.
was I saw the Midnight Rockers.
Oh yeah, well, Janetti and Michaels.
Yes,
Maybe before anybody knew that. At one point I thought Janetti was going to be the
I
guy.
thought he was the guy too. He was my guy.
I
It
think
was
he
kind of
probably
funny.
would have had a bigger run
Hmm.
had the Demons not crept in quite as strong as they did.
No kidding. The match we got tonight is John Cena versus CM Punk at Money in the Bank 2011. Um, and if you go to your WWE network, or if you find it somewhere else, that's also cool. We don't shame on that. But it's at 1 hour 59 minutes and about 7 or 8 seconds in. And
Okay.
so after I plug I'll give people time to look for it. But I'm going to plug the PayPal and the Venmo. So
Okay.
actually, Johnny, how do they pay us for
They
what
can
we
pay
do?
us if you want a tip or want to give us a cover charge. We're both comedians that have lost work, so it helps to throw down some shekels. My Venmo is at Johnny Taylor. We will distribute evenly amongst us. It's not just going directly to me.
Right.
And do you have a PayPal, Damien, that they can send to?
Not one that I can receive from. So we'll just go
Okay.
straight to yours. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do it. It's Johnny Taylor at about.me if they want to send PayPal. I think most people have Venmo at this point, but
Yeah. Uh, yeah, that works. That absolutely works. So let's actually talk a little bit about the history of the match before we get into the match proper. Um, it's
when
2000.
are we?
Yeah.
What are we gonna? So I'm at 2 hours, 3 minutes, 24 seconds. Looks like that's right when it looks like maybe Cena or Punk is about to come out. Does
Okay.
that
Cool.
work?
Cool. Yeah, that works. So I'll get myself queued up to that point. You said 2 hours. How many minutes?
2 hours, 3 minutes, and 24
All
seconds.
right, cool. So as I'm getting there, I'll tell everybody what has happened up to this point. So storyline wise, CM Punk had been a really hot heel the previous year, and I mean, CM Punk was a hot heel no matter where he went and what he did. But this time it was with the Straight Edge Society. That's what got started for him. And he had this kind of almost cult like following and a cult like appearance. He looked like a little bit like Charles Manson with more angular features.
Yeah,
Um,
he's like a really straight edge Jim Jones.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. And he recruited everyone, and everyone he recruited, they were mid to low card guys who weren't doing anything. What I liked about it, though, is that he recruited a guy named Luke Gallows and Joseph Mercury. I mean, he was going with biblical names.
Yeah.
and then also Serena, which was kind of the
Sure.
Mary figure. But eventually, Serena left, and Mercury got injured, and so the Straight Edge Society kind of got canned. So by that point, Punk was a little bit adrift. He'd had some really hot angles. In fact, the previous year, his Royal Rumble match, he basically was sermonizing throughout the Royal Rumble about Straight Edge, and it was amazing. I mean, it was really, really creative. Um,
Right.
and then let's see, he took over Nexus, and in its second incarnation, which we know that there's never been a second incarnation of anything that's ever been better than the first. Actually, I'm trying to think, is there anything that was better?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard because some would say that that second run that DX had with uh with Hunter and the New Age Outlaws and X Pac
Yeah,
um, might have ended up. I mean, it definitely pushed Hunter harder, but I'm a traditionalist. I love the HBK Triple H version of DX, but that second incarnation of them was pretty fucking hot.
I liked it. I thought it was
Yeah,
really a lot more dynamic, and they kind of. It's funny because they kind of became another set of the Horsemen.
right,
They had
right.
that same
Yeah,
drive.
I like that they didn't fall into the NWO's trap of like adding random wrestlers and B carders and shit.
Yeah.
They were all in the title picture the entire run, and they didn't add a bunch of random people to it.
Yep. No, I agree. So that might be the exception that proves the rule. But yeah, by and large, this did not fit that. This was not that. This was a shitty heater, quite honestly, to keep him in kind of a familiar role.
Right.
But then hoping, the only other second incarnation I can think of that was any good was Macho King.
Oh
Um,
yeah, he was great too.
that was yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, so he pretty much kind of was coasting with them, and after a really weak feud with Randy Orton ended kind of that storyline. He was adrift again after Mania of 2011. Now the thing is, he ended up, because he's such a good worker, he ends up in heater feuds with everybody else. Like, he
Right.
keeps them hot, which is just the worst way to use him.
Yeah, he had a
Um,
feud with Jericho, I think, where Jericho was trying to get him to drink.
yeah, yeah, and it just which was kind of a retread of when he feuded with JBL.
Right.
Same kind of thing, and a retread a bit of what he did with Jeff Hardy too. So they were kind of just grinding their gears and not letting him kind of explore stuff. And meanwhile, John Cena is in the middle of this really hot feud with The Rock from about February through WrestleMania 27.
Right.
Um, and he's still chasing the title, which Miz has at this point.
So Miz was the champ. So
Hmm.
I think I remember back then I found Miz so insufferable
Yes.
to watch. I think I almost forgot that he was the champ at
Right.
that time. Not a good sign.
No. And he wasn't
Um,
insufferable in that good way that,
no,
like,
correct.
Jericho can be insufferable.
Right.
Like when Jericho was the cruiserweight champ in WCW, he was insufferable, and it worked.
Right. In a great way.
Yeah. Um,
Insufferable in all the right ways.
right. So really, it's a feud with The Rock, and The Miz is just kind of there holding on to the title so that these two guys can feud without the title, which kind of
Right.
de-emphasized the title. Which for a guy like Punk, he doesn't really like that anyway. They even agreed to main event for the following year's WrestleMania 28. Sorry, I'm just seeing Edge entrance when you blow the smoke.
Oh, that's funny. Sorry, I am smoking tobacco.
That's totally fine.
Smoking some tobacco.
That's okay.
I so here is so when does it really change for Punk?
Right around. Um, so Punk had been trying really hard to be a tremendous heel from about 2009 onward. Um, and at that point, like, reality and the storyline start to blend because Punk kind of calls out that he's in a he's like second tier to a guy who retired and came back, and now the title's not even part of that feud. And marketing kept passing Punk by quite a bit.
Right.
He was disappointed with how he'd been used, and he knew that he could easily become the best heel or face or champion that they had, but he wasn't going to get to do it the way he wanted. And
Yeah, and people that know Punk's history,
mhm,
no greater fan of himself
true,
than CM Punk.
true,
Truly believed in himself,
yeah,
uh, and almost to a fault. Uh,
kind of Bret
but
Hart like that way too.
right, and so he's a little bit marking out for his own gimmick.
Hmm.
But yeah, I remember reading the dirt sheets and seeing that Punk was upset with his push, and it all leads to what we're about to see, right?
Right. So there's the pipe bomb incident where Punk interferes in a match with R-Truth and John Cena, getting John Cena defeated. And people know that Punk's contract is up for renewal, and Punk's not signed it yet because the internet's a thing at this point.
Right.
Um, and the anti-Cena movement is already fully in swing too. And so the WWE, instead of like trying to kayfabe it, they just leaned hard into all of it. And so CM Punk comes down and interferes with the match. Interestingly, here he's wearing a Stone Cold Steve Austin T-shirt
Yeah,
to
which
do it.
is kind of a fuck you to the establishment, even in kayfabe.
Yeah,
Uh, Definitely blurring the lines at this point. Comes
yeah,
out wearing the Austin shirt.
yeah. And so then he goes up, and to me, it's the first time I remember him sitting down cross-legged, which was also another fuck you because he's not standing there for the jib cam or anything like that.
Right.
And he gets to deliver what's now called the pipe bomb promo. In it, he promises to leave with the championship, which he'd done in ROH. He roasts more of the front office. He roasts the booking, and he drives home the point that he's the anti-establishment guy. And he said that John Cena was more successful not because he was better than Punk, but because he kissed ass better. And then he shits all over John Laurinaitis and Triple H, calls him a doofus, calls Stephanie bad things. And he's blurring the lines, and they cut his mic. Um, and he'd been complaining about the fact that he wasn't used, right? And then the next week, he was storyline suspended, and Cena comes out and says, "No, no, you got to let him in, so that I can beat him." And then Vince kayfabe tries to sign Punk's contract with him, and there was, you remember he mentioned the ice cream?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. He's like, I don't see myself on ice cream bars, which is the funniest hill to die on
It
in
really is.
wrestling.
Well, and it's like he's a mark for wrestling.
Right.
He remembers that.
Yeah,
So
it's talking about Slurpee cups and stuff.
yeah. So yeah, that's what's kind of leading into this. So now by this point, hopefully you guys have all caught up. We're at 2:03:01. Is that right, Johnny?
I'm at 203.24.
Okay, so I'm gonna go
It's
for another
okay.
23 seconds. And I'll just say go, and at that point you unpause it, and we can be watching it at the same time.
Okay. This is
Um,
high tech.
yeah, really, really high tech.
So do you want to count down from 5?
Sure. You said you're at 2:03:24.
I
Five,
am.
4, 3, 2, 1, go. And
Okay.
so,
We're
yeah, you're
here.
right. CM Punk's entrance.
So this is Punk coming out.
Hmm.
Uh, Definitely playing it up. Like he's definitely like, I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Yeah, and
He's
there's
pulling a Clerks.
yeah, and he does his little kneeling thing at this time. That's right. Do you remember what he shouted? Do you remember that?
This is clobbering time.
Yeah, from the Fantastic Four from the Thing.
Yeah. He's
Which,
there.
yep, there he is.
He's fucking by far at this point the most over
Hmm.
he's been in his WWE career.
Yeah. Well, he's in Chicago too, which is his hometown.
Yeah.
So everybody's there, and I mean the pop for when he came out was enormous.
Yeah.
And he's
It's
just
huge.
defiant as hell.
A lot of CM Punk shirts.
Hmm.
Yeah, the whole place. Like this is for him playing, the kayfabe baby face or the kayfabe heel. he is white hot as a babyface right here in his
Yeah.
hometown.
This is Bret Hart in Montreal at the screw job.
Right,
Like,
right.
and in many ways, I
Yeah,
think this is kind of a recasting of that screw job.
he is right. Yeah, he is just absolutely white hot.
Yeah. And Buddy Dean said it best. He said 2010 was Punk's best performance at the Rumble. I agree that as far as the Rumble performances, yes, but I would say this match specifically might have been his best, and everything was in his favor. It might not have been his best work, but it was his best performance, I think. So, I mean, here he is. He's what his entrance is now 2 minutes long, and everybody is still on their feet. Like everybody's standing up, and he just now got in the ring.
Yeah, they're just gonna. So he's prepping. He knows it's his house.
Yes,
Um,
and they're
yeah,
giving
but
him the
he's
time
not
too.
far. There he goes.
Yep, there's a sit down.
Plays back to the little callback.
Mm-hmm.
Comedy fans out there
Yep,
doing a callback to his crisscross applesauce at the right after Gorilla.
that's right. Yeah, after for the pipe bomb.
Soaking it in.
Oh, nice. Staring straight at that hard cam.
Yeah, what a great performer Punk was.
Uh huh.
Yeah, you talk about something that really, Punk comes back unannounced at some point.
Mm-hmm.
That pop is going to be like something we've only seen very few times
Yeah,
in wrestling.
I would agree. Especially if he can still work, like
Right.
you know, if he's
I
not just
mean, he
a
should be in
hollow shell of
shape.
himself.
Should be in shape, getting ready to get his ass kicked all over the place in the UFC. So
Yeah. Jeez, fans are going crazy. He's going out to dude. How Bret Hart is this?
yeah,
Like, I think he just gave his
really
shirt to
bad.
like his older sister because
Might
I
be
know
his
it's his
mom.
family that's in the crowd. I think actually even Colt Cabana's in the crowd with him because they were still friends at that point.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, that marriage ended bad.
yeah. Well, again, it's I think Punk got I don't know too marinated in his own stew,
Right.
and couldn't see past himself. So
Yeah. Really liked the smell of his own shit.
yeah, it's funny too because like he at this era and Bret Hart 20 years before are my favorite two guys, and they both suffer from the same. Oh, here comes Cena, and the boos are deafening. Like he's not even
Yeah,
trying.
there's maybe 2 dozen 8-year-olds
Yeah,
that are marking out right now,
yeah.
and the rest of the crowd is just
He's not doing his salute. He's not running.
yeah.
He just walks straight down. Um, and how good a worker is Cena though? Seriously, like he is doing exactly what this match calls for. Like
Yeah,
people hate on him all the time, but he can work and he can sell.
super smart about the business.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, to this day, super smart about the business.
Yep.
Uh, just goes
Oh,
out
there's Colt.
there,
There's Colt.
knows that he's playing the de facto heel,
Yep.
even though he is a baby facing it up. Still,
Mm-hmm.
he still knows like this is my role in this match.
Right.
We're in this dude's hometown. It's much like Sean in Montreal.
Yeah.
Going out there and just knowing that he's a fucking marked man.
Yeah. Yeah. And just really, like you said, like going out and doing exactly that work. You know. And there's Punk clapping it up.
Yeah,
Interestingly, Punk actually has a lot of professional respect for John Cena. Um, a lot of it due to this stuff and to how John helped to put him over.
right,
So
right. Yeah, and here's the thing, and that's another thing about Cena. Talk about a guy that's never had a problem putting somebody over.
right.
Uh, it just knows that it's. I mean, John Cena is not one of the most decorated wrestlers in the history
Hmm.
because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Right. Yeah. God, that audience is just crazy for Punk right now.
Yeah, just white hot, ready for the match.
Hmm.
Uh, he's doing his little straight edge thing.
Yep. So we started this 8 minutes ago or six
Yeah, this
minutes
is
ago.
long. It's like a boxing introduction.
Yeah, and there's now the announcer is calling them out, and
Yeah, they're
he's
still. They still do this
yep,
where main event type matches they'll bring the people out and then still kind of go through the pomp and circumstance
yep,
of you know, world champion John Cena. I love that they announced Cena first
even though he's
on
champion.
this part. Interesting
Yeah,
kind of dynamic where they know that they want the big pop
yep,
right before the match starts.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, there's is that who's that
That is
ref?
Scott Armstrong
Scott Armstrong. Oh, that's right, because
refing,
he looks like one of the
refing the
Armstrongs.
match. That is the Road Dogg's older brother.
Right. Bullet Bob's young second
Oldest
son.
son.
Oh, it's his oldest. Okay.
I think it is because I think Scott Armstrong
You
or
think he's older
Brad
than Brad?
Armstrong might be no, maybe Scott's the middle kid.
Yeah.
Somebody can Google that.
Yeah.
Definitely focused
Mm-hmm. Very
and
much.
ready to go.
Several
Liffering
signs saying
Punk.
if Cena wins, we riot, which as they're saying in the chat room, you can believe it actually in Chicago. So
Right.
so now they're feeling each other out. Who do you think called this match?
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess they played off each other a little bit.
Yeah.
I I mean, Punk. I can't. Punk's such an egomaniac. I can't imagine him not at least being like, this is when I'm getting my shit in.
Right.
But Cena's a ring general himself, and at this point had
Yeah.
been a vet of the WWE for seniority wise for many years more than Punk.
True.
Look at that little mat wrestling going on, little technical wrestling.
Got the arm behind. I like how their actual positioning is mirrored to each other. So they're
Right.
you know
This is the time they used to yell at Cena. They chant, "You can't wrestle,"
yeah.
and Punk would even like play that up.
Yep.
You know,
Oh, Punk's calling it.
right
Punk's
there.
calling
There's
it.
Punk on the spot right
Yeah.
there, obviously.
I always got a kick out of the stars on the back of his trunks too, because they're six-pointed stars, but he doesn't claim Jewish ancestry of any kind. So I always wondered why he
Yeah,
went
and
with
I know
that.
that he went with stars on his ass because, as a tribute to Randy Savage, who
Hmm.
Punk was a huge mark for.
Yeah, I remember when Randy died, Punk went to the tailor and said, "I need you to
So
make a
they're
Randy sign."
chanting "You can't wrestle" right here,
Yeah,
and you see Punk saying "Not me," right, and pointing over to Cena, and the
yeah,
crowd going ape shit. It's hilarious.
and now proving that Cena can't wrestle, like they're
Right,
playing that
right.
up. Oh, and then there's a
Yeah,
takedown. Punk pulls guard
yeah,
on him.
yeah. Pulls guard like there's Cena acting like he's done a day of mat wrestling in his life.
But
But
one of his finishers is a step over toe hold. So
yeah, and it's kind of, so now they're doing wrist locks,
yeah,
really playing up the fact that Cena showing he can wrestle.
yeah. Sean did the same thing in the Iron Man match with Brett too. Like just an hour of headlock practically. So
Yeah, I mean, and I know you're a big mark for Brett, and
yeah,
I am too to a degree. But I always found it funny when people were like, Brett's so technically sound, and he was.
yeah,
I mean, one of the best like technical wrestlers ever. But when it came down to it,
hmm
it was a lot of knee drops, elbow drops, back breakers.
it's true.
Uh, but I mean,
Russian with leg sweeps.
yeah, Russian leg sweeps.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, just knew how to tell such a story.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
Always got his shit in the
It's very true, very true. But part of that was because he knew that would tell the story well too.
right.
So here's Cena got him in a headlock and carries him over. Again, this is very much Cena's the inferior wrestler, and he's trying to show up Punk that he
Right.
has stuff, and Punk is right there. He's calling it, but Punk is giving him that time uh, to kind of build toward Punk's frustration, so that the brawling kind of makes more sense.
Yeah. Punk calling. A very long chain of moves, I'm
Yes.
guessing. Yeah, that's exactly why it was taking that long.
Yep. Boom. And drop kick. Good drop kick. Not as good as
Yeah,
Randy Orton's drop kick, but a solid drop kick. Like I'd put it right up there with Rick Martel's.
yeah. I love it too. Cena feigning like he was about to powder out there, but remembering he's babyface actually.
Yeah. And now Punk's got him in the middle of the ring, and now he's in a dominant position, holding Cena in a headlock.
Yeah, this is what we would describe a simmer start to the
Yeah.
match, where definitely this Punk again so obviously calling out spots.
Oh my God, yeah. I didn't catch this the
Now,
second or third time I watched it, but tonight I'm catching it.
yeah. Now, I mean, the crowd probably thinks he's just talking shit.
Mm-hmm. Knocking down the
But
bigger
notice
man.
every time he does that, it's
Oh,
always like a high spot.
yeah. Oh, going for the
All
first.
right.
At that time, it was called the FU. Now it's called the attitude
Yeah.
adjustment.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Now it's the attitude
Yeah.
adjustment. Look at that. Cena, you can wrestle. So, yeah, I told you. Fuck around and find out.
Cena giving him props though, like keeping back, not engaging right away, giving Punk his time. Um, really setting up Punk for like to build that. Oh, the crowd's starting to pop against Cena again. I mean, really
That's
setting
it.
time for Punk to build that frustration level, which is kind of what
Yeah, I
made.
love like the facial expressions by Cena,
Mm-hmm.
just really playing into the crowd, being like, "Wow, I'm really hated here," kind of acknowledging it with a smirk.
Yeah.
Every single person in that place wants him to lose.
Yep.
And Punk brawling a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Again with the frustration,
Oh yeah.
like how dare you put me in that move so early? So stomping a mud hole now.
Okay. Still the heel.
Yep.
Still knows that he's really the heel in this
Yep.
match.
Calling another spot.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's straight Bret Hart there. Like
Little bulldog.
chest forward into the turnbuckle. And now we're back to the mat. We're back to building the frustration. And you see people booing Cena for it because he is getting the best of Punk. He's using his strength and his speed and kind of nerfing Punk a little bit. Look at that lighting on the crowd
Chin
too.
lock by Cena.
A lot of red and blue, which is interesting because both he and Cena have the same colors. Um,
Yeah.
but ooh,
Oh, this really stiff clothesline.
yeah, first real moment of peril.
Yeah. Yeah, that one looked like it hurt.
Yeah, Punk can get another chin lock. Refs aren't checking for the chin anymore either.
Yeah.
Not a thing.
Yeah, this is definitely, I mean, old schoolers like you and me know in the 80s, they would always check, okay, there we go,
Yep.
making sure he's not choking him.
And check
Good
out
job,
where
Scott.
Cena's legs are too, man. He actually pulled him into something there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a little grapevine,
Yeah.
picking up, keeping that headlock. Cena definitely trying to slow the pace,
Yep.
which is an interesting dichotomy. Little
Mm-hmm.
back body drop there.
Well, it's your standard. The bigger guy will try to go slower than the littler guy, and Punk is the littler guy. So, and at this point, Punk is full chest tatted. You know, when he
You
first
think,
started, his chest was bare. He just had the
what do you
straight edge
think?
on his
Punk's
stomach.
about 200 pounds.
He was, I think,
Two,
he was 218. I want to say because I remember I used to count my weight based on what wrestler I weighed the same as.
right.
And I haven't been CM Punk since my son was born.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about what wrestling weight I'm at right now.
Yeah, I'm a really.
Quarantine got me near Hillbilly Jim.
Yeah, I got the hillbilly Jim body if I'm lucky. Probably more of a jobber from the AWA, but I got the unhealthy John Cena weight. So, oh, going for a suplex. Bam. Right over, straight in the middle. Going for a pin, which I like that John Cena's going for a pin the whole time because you're trying
Right,
to win
right.
it.
Definitely makes it more, increases the believability factor for sure.
You've
The
been to live
Cena's
shows, haven't you?
there. Yeah, Cena, going for the FU.
Yep.
Oh, nice DDT.
DDT.
Back in my day, they used to finish a match.
Yep. And only two guys would use it.
There we go. See,
Yep.
now I love CM Punk immediately going for the cover there
Yes.
because it makes the move seem less weak.
Right.
He hits on him and he's like, I might have got him with this.
Yeah. There's a chance. Now they're kind of fighting for control. I think in MMA they call that 2-on-1, right? Putting two hands on one of
Yeah,
his.
yeah.
And Punk's got his legs kind of in a figure four around John Cena's neck.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like kind of like a reverse triangle
Yeah.
choke. CM Punk's acting like this
Oh.
might get him. It's not going to.
Nice.
Look at Cena with just the strength.
Yeah. Oh.
Just rolls out and does a full squat with Cena with Punk on his back.
Yeah. In a bad position. Punk
Punk
hitting with
mad.
the elbows because Punk's big on the elbows and threw Cena outside, which is
Yeah,
the
Punk.
heel's way of making the face take a powder.
Now Punk. Now we're gonna get a little brawl going on here.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Giving his love to Colt.
That was a little high five from Colt Cabana there.
Yep. A lot of guys
Now
use
this
the
is
apron a lot now too.
yeah. This is Punk. I always loved Punk outside the ring.
Mm-hmm.
One of those people that made use of the outside of the ring. Some people just really brawl out there, but Punk was always meaningful out there.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, great looking knee drop to the back of Cena's dome.
Yeah. Which
Punk very proud of himself.
That move, I mean, you're coming off of the second turnbuckle and you're coming down and you're gonna try real hard not to concuss the guy.
Right.
You got to take pretty much all of it on your knees on that ground.
Yeah, you're trying to make it look real, and it's there's gonna be a replay. That's just a beautiful, what a beautiful sequence right there.
Yeah, kind of a Harley Race knee drop, but updated.
That was really good. Cena sold it really well too.
Yeah, and he's still selling it. And Punk throwing the knees, which he's
famous for. Muay Thai got him in the got him in the Muay Thai clinch.
Yeah, the plum blossom in the back of the neck. Oh, shoulder to the ring post.
There we go.
So now this buys everybody some time after some high impact stuff.
You're seeing a breather.
Yep.
Punk really selling it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that used to be a finisher too. When people would run through, they'd get rolled up after.
Dude, do you remember when people would take the turnbuckle off?
Yeah.
And if they hit them on the head, hit their head with the exposed turnbuckle, that was the match.
Yeah, that was it. That was like the match, beautiful. And they might not come back next week, kind of thing.
Right.
So.
The evolution of wrestling.
The Mr. Brownstoning of pro wrestling.
Right. Yeah, I mean, George Animal still would already have one of these guys in a hammerlock.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, old-timey snapmare.
There we go. Right back into the reverse chin lock.
Mm-hmm. You can rest, but you got to be doing stuff.
Not to be confused with a sleeper hold. Yeah. Now, when I was a kid, I would always be like, oh, that's a sleeper. And I remember my dad being like, no, that's called a chin lock. And I'm like, well, what's the difference? He's like, sleeper, they'd be standing up and the guy would be acting like he's falling asleep. And I was like, that doesn't sound like a difference. He's all, well, it's because there's really not one.
Well, and on the sleeper, they'd have the hand over the guy's forehead, too.
Right.
Yeah.
So Punk still kind of heavy with a Muay Thai clinch here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh.
Stiff looking front kick. Yeah. Bad looking working punch by Cena.
Yeah. Ran into a good kick. Ooh. Top turnbuckle. Oh. Out of position. Bad spot. Went back for a crossbody and ended up landing on Cena's legs. Cena was just about 2 feet too far away. And it looks like maybe he hurt himself a little.
Cena maybe sprained his knee here.
Yep. He just said something to Scarred Armstrong.
Scarred Armstrong's like, do we need to get the X out?
Yep. Do this to the back of the room. So.
You're wrestling equivalent of giving somebody the light.
Yes. Although people don't run the X.
Never run the X. So there's Cena, really, really weak selling on the attempt. And then
Shit.
what a bump by Punk there.
Wow. So Cena like blocked a couple attempts, barely for suplexes or suplex, as I grew up hearing it. Uh,
Uh,
and then Cena took him out to the floor with a suplex.
yeah, and Cena kind of just lets him go a little bit here.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're gonna, I ain't taking that." He took it,
Yeah. He
but
went
he
with
had
him.
a thought where he's like, "I'm not taking this bump."
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, good thing he didn't fully do it, or Punk would have been in the front row.
Yeah. Yeah. Now a couple moves there. You see him putting his hands on Punk's leg. That's a way of checking and of making sure that everybody's cool. Then he brings it back in.
Yeah, smart pin attempt there,
Yep.
telling a story. It's like, oh, look, I'm checking with the ref. That was only two.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
first time
clearly.
we're seeing that, which is good to see because it builds to that frustration again.
Right.
Going
Look
for
at Fisherman suplex.
yeah.
Oh, attempted Fisherman suplex. Kind of let it go at the end.
And going for the elbow. You know, a good elbow drop is it tells a good story.
Totally, I agree. The guy right now wrestling Otis
Hmm.
from Heavy Machinery that drops one hell of an elbow. Big fella too.
Nice.
We've always loved a good elbow drop. Look at
Yeah.
that. Muscles him up.
Got him in a power slam position.
Yeah, yeah. Power slam, maybe a shoulder breaker.
Yeah.
Always going for the AA. Now, okay, he's gonna do it. Was it?
Oh.
Oh, he does a little kind of a power slam bomb.
Yeah. I don't know. Like if it was a tilt a whirl, that would make sense. If it was a what do you call it? Pump handle, that would have made sense. So yeah, that's
Right.
it's kind of like a pump handle without the pump.
Little innovation
Yeah,
there. Cena's got some things.
he does.
He gets a
Like
bad rap.
he does. Well, yeah, he does.
And he's
It's
jacked, like he is jacked to the moon
yeah, he
on
is.
this in this match. Like he's in incredible shape. He's
It's funny. I was talking on a podcast about Arnold Schwarzenegger, how he's built to faint back in the '80s, whereas other people are built for fighting. And John Cena looks like he's built like that, but he can actually go. Like he's not that gassed.
all
Oh,
right. Abdominal stretch.
yeah,
If Gorilla Monsoon was calling this and be like, he could get him if he just had his leg wrapped underneath his back leg.
yeah,
Gorilla Monsoon always said that. That's how he explained no one ever winning via abdominal stretch.
yeah. That's oh, I like how Punk's kind of doing the tingly fingery thing, cutting
Yeah,
off
he's
that
like,
blood
I'm
supply.
losing feeling.
Right. And also, how am I going to get out of this?
Yeah.
Gorilla would have
He
also
knows he could
mentioned his.
probably just punch John Cena here, but
Oh, he
he
raked
gets
the
out,
eyes.
uses the heel tactic
Yeah,
to get out.
that's a good point. That's a good point. Oh, double clothesline, giving them
Good
both a
spot.
chance. And Punk's keeping his face away from the main camera, telling John Cena what to do. Cena's responding, and then selling some more. Yeah, if Gorilla was calling this, he would have mentioned the occipital protuberance already, 3 or 4 times.
Correct. He would also talk about how both guys have incredible intestinal fortitude.
Yes. Gorilla he popularized the term excellence of execution.
Yeah, and I guess before he used it for Bret Hart, he used it for uh, Buddy Roberts.
No shit.
That's what Buddy Rogers. It was either Buddy Roberts or Buddy Rogers,
Okay.
where he would call them the excellence of execution,
Oh,
and then
okay.
just kind of recycled it for
Yeah.
Bret.
Wow. Good set of moves there. Punk went for the 2 shoulder blocks. Uh, went to flip him up and over. Oh, here we go. The you can't see me,
And
which is
bust out the little five knuckle shuffle here. You
getting
can't
so
see
much
me.
hate from the crowd. And then
Oh yeah, he's eating it up now.
boot to
Oh,
the
look at that.
nice. Everyone loves seeing that.
A little knee to the back. I'm guessing we're going to see a high spot right here.
Well, a Punk high spot, so through the middle
Suicide
rope.
dive.
Yeah,
Good looking one too.
yeah,
Cena took it like a champ.
yeah, he did. And right before Punk did it, he screamed out Chicago. So, which it's common for wrestlers to scream out their favorite musical, and just kind of coincidental that Punk screamed out Chicago for this one.
Right. Sorry, I'm plugging my loud and let me know if I missed anything. I think it is probably gonna be powdering out for a minute. Okay, well Cena Punk just goes right back.
Toss him back in.
Gives enough. I'm stepping on screen.
Sure, no problem. So Punk taking his sweet time, playing to the quietness or the need for rest that he's got. Launches with a clothesline from the top rope and misses completely. So this is in some ways a less contact version, higher intensity version of the chin locks that we saw earlier. Now Cena going back, he's doing his callback. He tried to tag it up earlier with the five knuckle shuffle, and this time he's actually going to drop it on CM Punk because we want to get that heel heat on John Cena. Now he's got him in the position for the Death Valley Driver. I'm sorry, the FU. And Punk doesn't quite get all the way to his feet, but he does not take the move. Couple kicks, spinning back kick to trip up Cena, as though that's going to get the pin. Showing all kinds of frustration now. Everybody showing frustration. As you can see, you just got the tale of two warriors here. And what I love here about the framing is that you see Cena's back and Punk's front. Just kind of showing that they're going in different directions. Keeping that metaphor going. And they've done that a few times. Now he's getting Cena up for the go to sleep, the GTS, and Punk reverses it into a tilt-a-whirl slam and goes for another pin. Still nothing. We're not going to see a pin here for a while, though, to be honest. This match is only about halfway done. Now the slow crawl for Punk to get up. Cena is kind of just waiting for him, but he's a face, so he's not prowling waiting for him. He's just waiting. And Punk absolutely reverses things and just hits with a good two set of stiff knees and a bulldog. One of those looked like it really hurt. And Punk actually had a reputation with his knees of doing some damage to people sometimes. He broke Gene Sitzke's nose, I think, on his first title defense on Raw. Then you can see it just crack. Now Punk hits the move. And that's what we're seeing a lot of in this match is that you see them trying a move, having it thwarted a couple of times, and then, here comes the knee. Oh, damn. That was stiff. Probably too stiff. Playing it a third time. Either of these guys are just really, really good at this, or we're seeing like some really stiff knees. And then Punk going with the kicks. Couple quick kicks to the chest. But yeah, Punk had a reputation for being stiff with his knees in the ring. And this looks like no exception. Oh, missed one. And Punk gets him into his step over toe hold, the STF. I think it's at this time it's called the STFU. So audience is not having it. They're not liking it. Not liking it one bit. But Punk crawling desperately to get to the ropes. Johnny just sent me a message asking me what happened in terms of he took a powder and can't seem to get back into the room yet. So we're working on that while we're trying to call this match. Oh, boot to the head. We're at 2 hours and 35 minutes in. CM Punk climbing to that top rope again, going back to the well, as they say. Coming back down. There you are, Johnny.
What happened? Where are we?
We are. Oh, Cena just rolled through. We're at 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 38 seconds. And I'm hearing my echo.
Weird. Why?
So Cena's got Punk in the step over toe hold again, the STFU. We got you now.
Where are we right now, Damian?
Right now we are at 2 hours, 36 minutes, and 30 seconds mark.
Okay.
Punk has the Anaconda Vice. Is that what they called it? He's got Cena in a hell of a submission hold. I don't recall Cena ever giving up. Do you?
No, it seems like he must have at some point. But so where are we at?
We're at 2 hours, 37 minutes, and 8 seconds. Cena just hit the the attitude adjustment, and Punk just kicked out of it. Audience is going ape shit for the save. Where are you at?
I'm having to do it on my phone now.
Oh, man. So we're at 2:37:30, 31, 33. Audience is still going crazy. They're doing the clap, 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 clap. 2:37, 47, 48.
I'm here now.
Okay, cool. Cena, not often does he go to the top
rope.
Kind of pulls that out for the bigger shows.
And oh.
Oh. You know, I really love the emotional aspects of this match, but watching it again,
Right.
there have been at least 5 or 6 spots where they just didn't quite hit it.
Yeah, that was definitely a little botch-tastic coming off the top there. But yeah, I mean, I love how Punk is selling the emotion here.
Yeah.
Couldn't get Cena. Clearly tougher than he gave him credit for.
Yep. Absolutely.
I remember watching this live.
Nice.
This next Cena spot, really, I thought this was going to be what got him.
Uh-huh. Cena going, oh.
Yeah, the top rope leg drop.
Yeah, strong.
The Cena looking very much like he uh, he thought he was going to get the pin there. I even think that was one of those near falls where I think the crowd
Yeah,
even started thinking, oh, they're going to put Cena over right here.
yeah. Because again, as far as the crowd news, Punk had not yet signed his contract. He'd actually signed it that day, apparently,
Right.
with Triple H, um, and for a very lucrative sum. Like,
So I mean, they're working hard.
yeah,
That they're almost playing with the dirt sheets.
yeah.
They know that a lot of the smart marks out there knew that Punk. Okay, we're about to have some action here.
Yep.
They knew that the smart marks thought, okay, maybe they're going to put Cena over in Punk's hometown, which would have been just the ballsiest move of all
It
time.
really would have. Like, I don't know if it would have killed the town. I don't think it would have if they'd followed it right. Because that reminds me of when they killed the Four Horsemen off um,
Right.
in World War III with Henning shutting the door on Flair's face, and
Yeah, and then
that killed
you
the
know,
town for wrestling.
right, and the thing is especially with Punk at this point, I mean, there's been enough spots where the WWE has done that. I mean, they almost killed all of Daniel Bryan's heat
Yeah,
multiple times by having people go over him, and I think they made the right call because I think it would have squashed some of Punk's heat.
yeah, I would agree. When you got someone this red hot, I mean, you don't have Andre go over on Hulk at Mania 3. You don't.
Right.
He was white hot. Oh yeah, this is some sloppy work that I don't want to call it sloppy. I think these two guys tried a little harder than they ought to have.
Yeah, and I think they're both a little gassed here.
Yeah, they are. Punk with those elbows though. Look how
Those elbows are fucking vicious.
they look so vicious, but I think he's coming
That's
down on the shoulder more.
really in this match. And yeah, it still looks good.
Yeah,
Like because he's really humming them in there and a
yeah.
really nice hurricane
There we go.
bus there. Okay.
So and Punk just took down his knee brace, so he's going to
Yeah.
run a harder, stiffer knee at him.
Yeah. And he ends up paying for that.
Oh, that's right.
Hits it so stiff, Cena powders out.
Yeah, his go to seep hitting the gut, and now Cena's out on the floor.
Right. Yeah. Went
Can't win on a
against
count out.
again expert storytelling here.
Mm-hmm. Because now there's a danger of Punk being too successful,
Right.
and as tired as he is, he's got to get this giant slab of meat back in the ring. Oh, talking to him again. I did not realize how much talking they did. Like that's
Yeah, and Cena's kind of famous for calling out his shit
yeah,
loud. But man, is Punk, and I think Punk was calling this match.
yeah. Every time we've seen it, it's been that. Oh, here comes. Okay, so this is a parallel that I wanted to point out. So CM Punk is on his way out, and they don't want him to have the title, kayfabe.
Right.
Um, and Punk is
Oh,
beloved here. Love that look. He is beloved here, but he's kind of a heel.
yeah. Watch. I think I'm a little ahead of you. Watch the stiff forearm Cena's about to deliver here.
Okay. Yeah, you are ahead of me.
I think I'm maybe slightly ahead.
Oh, I'll skip ahead by 10 seconds and see where I get. Where are you? What's your timestamp?
Uh, I'm at 2 hours 44:28.
All right. Just got done with the pin. Now, the thing here is like McMahon and Laurinaitis have both come out.
Yeah.
And Cena went out and told them, "No, I'm going to do this my way," and that's what
Right.
led to him getting pinned.
Right. Yeah, and I mean a beautiful distraction of like Cena go and Vince just
Mm-hmm.
what a great what a great moment. Punk showing Vince the belt and just
Right.
being like, uh, I'm gonna be around for a while, dude.
Yeah. Or I'm leaving with it, actually.
Yeah, and that's the real fear. The real fear is he. But you know, at this time especially, it's like, okay, so he leaves. Where the fuck? Where does he go?
Right.
Well, he showed a ring of honor with the WWE belt. You know, still only 100,000 people are gonna see it.
Yeah, true, true. But the dirt mags and W's is really playing the smart marks at this point. So there's a couple things I
Yeah.
want to point out here. One, you notice that Vince is wearing a lot of pink.
Right.
Two, a everywhere else heel has just is going to leave the company as champion. Um, and Vince came out to try to stop that, to try to make that not
Right.
happen. Uh,
Right.
and that guy won, and he's getting ready to come out. And now kayfabe McMahon is calling out Alberto Del Rio, who
Yeah.
just won
Yeah. He's
Money in the
like
Bank.
cash in that money in the bank.
Yeah, it's back when they had the Raw GM was
Oh yeah. One
anonymous.
of the anonymous Raw GM, one of the worst
Yeah,
GMs in the history of wrestling.
yeah,
What a shitty idea.
yeah. It turned out to be Hornswoggle too. It was like the dumbest blow off.
It was Hornswoggle all along. There's Del Rio coming down looking
Yep,
in great shape.
yep. And
Oh,
then
doesn't
boom,
even have
Cena.
a chance to cash it in.
Right. In many ways, I think this is like the moral apology that McMahon makes about screwing Brett.
Right.
I think that this is a recasting of it, where the babyface leaving and winning, but he beat
Yeah.
another babyface who in this town was a heel. So you've got kind of this
Right.
double reverse on the different roles between Brett and
Yeah.
Sean and Punk and Cena. And you've got a lot of the
Yeah.
same flavors going on. And again, McMahon and
Right. And it's interesting because Cena, even playing the de facto heel here,
mm-hmm.
and there's no, people. There's people that hate John, and then there's people that love him. But there's no way he could ever really be a heel. Uh,
Yeah.
he's out there. He first off, say what you will about John Cena, he kept that company alive through some lean years,
Oh yeah.
and so one of the only legitimate draws in the business until CM Punk kind of had this run.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, there's only been a couple of people since Austin and Rock that had that ability,
That's true.
and it was fucking Cena, and then it was Punk, and you had the secondary champions, Edge, who won a million titles, Randy Orton the same way.
Right.
They did all this shit, but at the same time, like they won a bunch of belts, they weren't drawn,
No, they
you
weren't.
know.
They were transitional
So
champs back to the draw.
right, and then Cena was, and it wasn't until fucking Daniel Bryan after CM Punk got white hot
Right.
for a stretch, and then Daniel Bryan in 2013, 2014, where he was as over as anybody they've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And he got over like organically, and then people started not liking him, and then that became a thing. They were like hate watching him.
Right, right,
And then they would cheer
and
on. And it was interesting. It was kind of like the old South territories where a person you hate always has the title, and you cheer whoever's coming after it, and you know that they're not going to win, but it's you cheer the effort.
right,
Um,
right,
yeah,
and
and I remember Cena saying like, "I'm gonna keep playing exactly as I am." Because I think some of it has to do with the work that he was doing for Make a Wish.
right, right. Yeah, hard to be a believable heel
Right.
when you're out taking pictures with kids.
Yeah.
It's and that he was just he had gone beyond being one of the top draws. He became a serious brand ambassador
Yeah.
for the WWE, and it's really hard to have a heel in that position.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, there. I don't think there's a way. I mean, that's that's so the fans made him heel, but they would still pay money to watch him
Right.
all the time,
Right.
you know.
And
So
so what is the aftermath of this, Damien?
so after this, Punk, okay, so Cena and Ray have a match to determine who the new champion is, because Punk took the
Okay.
title whack, and then Punk sends photos of kind of like what the hockey players used to do or still do with the Stanley Cup. So he sends
Right.
photos with his belt in all kinds of different places, but then he comes back and he says he doesn't really like that Cena is claiming to be anything, and he reignites the feud, and then the WWE just shits the bed, because it ends up being a feud with not as much him and Cena. I mean, it is him and Cena, but then The Rock is involved because you have to get them to Mania,
Oh
and
yeah.
they pull Punk kind of out of the scene a little bit, and he starts to feud with Triple H, and then Kevin Nash comes back, interferes with the
Wow.
match, and then Kevin Nash ends up having heart problems again and a staph
Okay.
infection, I want to say, and so that
Okay.
part gets dropped, and Punk just gets like some really bad luck when it comes to a lot of those next angles, but they really misused him and really undid most of what they did. And that gets them to Mania, and I don't remember who Punk took on at that year's Mania. It might have been Taker.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
I think that sounds right.
yeah.
Which is obviously a huge match, and that's becomes a big stick. Now they had this white hot rivalry. They could have took that Cena Punk feud
Mm-hmm.
into the next WrestleMania. Punk could have got what he always wanted,
Right.
which was headlining WrestleMania, and to this day, it's stuck in his craw that he never did.
Oh yeah. It's it drove him in a way that was probably unhealthy ultimately,
Right.
and he couldn't, there's only room at the top for one, and it was also bad timing on for his sake. It was bad timing. I mean, The Rock coming back,
Right.
wanting to feud with John Cena because they'd had some actual legit back and forth in the media, um, and then I think the Shield got hot and they started pushing the Shield.
Yeah.
Um,
So and then that takes us through a whole 6 year period
mm-hmm.
of Punk actually leaving after the Royal Rumble
Right.
in 2014, and 6 years later still not back, which is a little unbelievable. It's been 6 years since Punk's been in the wrestling business,
Yeah.
but
And he left. He ended up having a really bad staph infection, and he left after he had a discussion after Mania, and they're like, "Dude, you got to wrestle the Undertaker." And he's like, "I got beat by a guy who came out of retirement and beat me and went back into retirement."
right,
And I'm trying to think. I think that was the one that they had in New York, right?
yeah, I think so.
Because Living Color opened for him. I mean, they really
Yeah,
were.
which is
That was
incredible.
so sick. I love that. Um, but after that, he was like, "You're not paying me the way that you would pay someone who headlined. So
Right,
I'm done. If I'm not the best, then I'm out." And he
right,
left. And he left,
yeah,
I think, just ahead of Royal Rumble the following year.
right. And what we'll do is we will uh, obviously we'll watch more matches from that era.
Yeah.
But what do you think we should watch next week?
Let's see. I was thinking, I don't want to get too stuck in that era. Like, I almost immediately wanted to say, okay, well, let's watch Daniel Bryan against CM Punk or Daniel Bryan against John Cena. But
We'll,
uh,
we'll get to that. I want to cover
yeah,
a couple of Bryan matches,
oh yeah,
especially in that white hot era.
yes,
But maybe we could go back to kind of the third glory age,
hmm,
and maybe we could watch something from like '97 or '98.
I like that.
Maybe WCW 97, 98. Find something and we'll talk about it. But I would like to maybe do one of those matches.
Absolutely. And we're not always going to do the headlining matches. We're not always going to do the championship matches. There'll probably be a few episodes where we watch two or three shorter matches,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But I'm already starting to percolate with 97, 98, some of the really good matches, kind of the hidden matches that a lot of people don't remember from 97, 98.
I would love that. Do something maybe from the mid card,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a curtain jerker. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. So where would you rank this match?
I
Like,
think it's good. Now it's botchy for sure.
yeah, it is.
The story is amazing. I mean, if I was rating it on just wrestling alone, it's probably a 3.5 star. But
Mm-hmm.
the storytelling and all that, it's definitely like as far as like the storyline, where it ranks in history
Mm-hmm.
on a 5 star scale, it's a 4 star match.
Oh
I
yeah,
think it was meaningful.
yeah,
The technical botches, uh, kind of the obvious calling of the match in the ring, uh, where it's so like it's very obvious.
yeah.
I think that holds it back a little bit in the pantheon of like historically amazing matches. But it's rock solid, and they worked their asses off. They told a great story,
They
and
really did.
the storyline in context, it's a hell of a main event match.
It is. It is what I think blow-offs should be.
Right.
Because the crowd is just ecstatic and besides themselves, and they're hanging on every move. Botched though some of those moves are. Um,
Yeah, and I mean, you see Vince and the Stooge come down, and you're thinking the whole time like, don't Dusty finish this,
yeah,
and because that was a real fear, and I thought they worked it in well,
yeah,
and preserves a little bit of Cena's babyface heat
hmm,
by having him uh, kind of get a little discombobulated, but it's not a complete discredit to Punk. Punk comes off as opportunistic and not as a cheat, and
yeah.
that in itself makes the blow off much better than it could have
I don't think he cheated at all either. He did some,
been.
dastardly
Right,
stuff, but there was no cheating there. Like neither man
right.
healed out. So yeah, I would agree. Um, well, cool. So why don't we plug where people can send us money for all the work that we've done?
Okay, hard working over here, just watching wrestling.
Yes.
But if you want a tip or send a cover charge, uh, go ahead and pay what you want. It's Venmo at Johnny Taylor, and it's PayPal Johnny Taylor at about.me. And sorry for the one technical glitch, but shit happens.
Yeah.
I'll know now. Watching on my phone, not on my computer.
Cool.
But it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad you guys watched. Those of you that did watch, and we're gonna keep building this and keep doing it because
Oh
why
yeah.
the fuck not?
Tell your friends. Get on the Twitter. Talk about what you liked, and we'll see you guys next Sunday
All
on
right,
Calling It in the Ring.
see you guys.